down for Aaron Thomas, a beautiful catch at the far.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. And before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you could maybe give this video a thumbs up or possibly leave a comment below, or maybe even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But at least anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you all. Well, at the combine, Joe Schoen was doing some talking. Yeah, I guess he feels partly sorry for the guy. I mean, the guy's just trying to, build the team and help the Giants and all this stuff. And the more time you can spend talking to other GMs or watching film or maybe talking to players or this or whatever, the more advantageous it would be to the New York Football Giants. But I mean, it's like all the interviews he's doing and everything. I mean, he was talking with like the press, and he had I saw on YouTube was with John Schmelk with Giants.com. He was taking some questions there. He also took a couple questions over the phone as well too. People calling in with some questions over the phone. But so he was talking. He was doing some talking. He was talking about like free agency, the draft, a bunch of things. One of the things he was as many GMs will tell you, when it comes to your time, the pick, if nobody wants to trade up or there's nobody, you can't trade back or this or that, and you're stuck at your pick, whatever it is, just try to take the best player available. He said you can't really go wrong with taking the best player available. One thing he did mention was that if, say, whatever, pick 7 rolls around, say, there's an offensive lineman and there's a wide receiver, just saying, and basically have the same amount of value, or what he wind up doing, he makes a lot of sense, is that if you're short on offensive linemen, which the Giants are, you take the offensive lineman over the wide receiver without question. But he said he does like to take the best player available. One of the things he did mention that was, he didn't build his O-line with a bunch of first rounders. He said you can find quality throughout the draft, and they've done that in Buffalo. He wasn't making the picks per se with Bean, Brandon Bean, but Shane was there to help. But he said it wasn't like it was a bunch of first rounders. I mean, kind of like the way the Cowboys were. They have a lot of first rounders. But I mean, the Giants got 1 first rounder. But I mean, if you can get a guy in the second round, a guy in the third round, or so, now they're coming. They are starting the conversations with players, their agents. Okay, because free agency is right around the corner, and he's got to start clearing some cap space. So, I guess he's, I don't know, he's willing to see if some guys would maybe take a lower pay cut or whatever. But I mean, I guess they're starting to do some talking. So guys are going to start getting let go because free agency starts in 2 weeks. So today is the 2nd. I believe it's the 16th. So free agency's 2 weeks away. I've seen all different kinds. I've seen the Giants with $10,000 above the salary cap. I mean, I saw 11. I saw $12 million. So I mean, the last one I saw was 11. So I mean, if they're 11 above, where they should be, and he wants to get at least maybe 40 million, means he's got to clear like $50 million in cap space. So that's a lot. So some guys are just gonna start going left and right here. So stay tuned, because in the next couple weeks, the SHIT is going to start hitting the fan without question. Now everybody keeps bringing up this Saquon, like maybe trades, and he mentioned, he said he's pretty much open to. I don't know if he said not pretty much trading the whole team, but he said he's available, open to trade. He said whether it's trading a player for a player or a player for picks. But I mean, Saquon, if you're going to trade somebody, would obviously make the most sense because he's $7.2 million. All right, and if you can, trade him. The thing is that if you trade him that's the thing. If you trade him for a player, it's great getting a player, but I mean, depending on who are you going to trade Saquon for? You're going to trade him for somebody, would be a starter. I mean, and they would have to be fairly decent, and that means that if they're fairly decent, unless they're like a third-year player, they got picked in the 6th round and they're like an All-Pro or something like that, or maybe in a couple of years you're gonna have to ante up some big bucks, but right now you get them at like $1 million a year. The thing is you're trading Saquon. You to try to maybe get a draft pick, but to save on the cap too, $7.2 million. That's quite a bit of money. That's like 1/7 of what he's trying to clear by getting rid of one player. And I said you might get like a 3rd round draft choice in the process. And I said, now if you're going to trade him for like somebody else, like whatever. So a nice wide receiver. Well, the wide receiver might be making 8, 9, 10 million. So then you have to fork up maybe extra money. So that's not what the Giants are looking to do. He says willing to listen to anything out there, player for a player, player for picks. The one thing is that everyone keeps bringing up, is that how's he going to make his cuts? The problem with the Saquon trade is that it takes 2 to tango also, right? Just because you want to get rid of Saquon, the thing is that you got to trade Saquon. Somebody's going to want to take Saquon, have the 7.2 to pay Saquon. Willing to give up. I'm just saying at least maybe a 3rd rounder would be relatively fair. Not a 1st or a 2nd because injuries and all, but he's relatively young. He's got a lot of potential. So I'm saying a 3rd rounder would be very, very fair. But the other thing is that the other team, when they get Saquon, right, they got to pay the 7.2. They're going to maybe give up a 3rd rounder, but then this is his final year of his contract. So now this same team is going to have to come up with like just say 10 million or 10 to 12. Just be fair. I don't see him getting like Ezekiel Elliott money or anything because Zeke was relatively healthy and all that and getting better numbers. Obviously, better offensive system, better offensive line, you get better numbers. But I can see maybe 10 to 12 for Saquon. Especially if he has a good year this year. This is a big, big year for him. Wants to do well, wants to stay healthy, whatever team he's on. Because then the next year, he'll go out and hopefully he'll get his money from somebody. Especially if the salary cap winds up going up. Well, I'm saying, but this other team's going to want to come up with like, say you sign him for 4 years, $50 million, say $12.5 million a year, and with whatever, $25 million guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? So the other team's got to want to give up the pick, want to pay Saquon 7.2 this year, and then hold on him, and then pay him 10 to 12 in the years to come. Because the team that we trade Saquon to, they're going to start looking like us with Leonard Williams. Remember, we traded the Jets halfway through the season. We gave the Jets draft picks for Leonard Williams. Well, at the end of the season, Leonard Williams was going to be a free agent, and we could have possibly gotten him that way, but Gettleman wanted, I guess, Leonard Williams before he got to be a free agent. I don't know. So we gave up draft picks to get him. So now after that season's over with, you're going to look like a real freaking idiot. If you don't sign him to a long-term contract. It would be the same thing with Saquon. This team's going to be giving up a 3rd round pick, $7 million or so, and they're going to look like a bunch of idiots if they just, after this year, let him go. So it takes 2 to tango. It's just not that easy. But just trade him. It's not that easy. Other teams wouldn't mind having him, but it's things that go along with it. So, but it's also amazing how many times also in these interviews and all that, how many times the Josh Allen, Daniel Jones comparison comes up. I mean, every time with Shane gets answered the question or Dable gets answered the question, they both kind of say the same thing. It's not fair to compare the two. Buffalo, their offensive line's better. Obviously, we had the Clapper calling our plays. They had Dable calling their plays. Their offense, they got 2 great tackles. We got one. I mean, so their offensive line is better. Their offensive system's better. You look at. They got Stephon Diggs who stays healthy, unlike our wide receivers. Kenny Golladay is kind of missing in action this year. Kadarius Toney, he had 6 different injuries this year. Sterling Shepard, love the guy to death. He can play on my team anytime, but all he does is get hurt. He missed most of the season this year. So it's kind of tough to compare the two. One's got a decent offensive line, one has no offensive line, one has some good wide receivers that stay healthy. Ours wide receivers don't, stay healthy. It's kind of tough to compare the two, But hopefully, Shane says Daniel Jones is their guy as of right now. He's the starting quarterback as of right now. They're going to hopefully bring in some competition for him to help, make him a little bit better or whatever. But right now, Daniel Jones is the guy. He kind of jokes that with the offensive line, he's like, I think we have like 5 healthy offensive linemen on the roster right now. He's pretty damn close to it. Because Shane Lemieux is coming off of a surgery. Nick Gates is, don't even know if he's even going to be able to come back with his horrible surgery or the horrible injury he had. So basically, you got Matt Parrott, Andrew Thomas, Ben Bredesen, Wes Martin, and Devery Hamilton from Duke. All right. I think if they're going to rely on Devery Hamilton, they're going to rely on Devery. I think they're in trouble. They got Ben Bredesen, Wes Martin. Wes Martin had a very bad year last year. Ben Bredesen was hurt. He had a problem with his hand. Matt Parrott, I don't know. They just didn't feel like he was good enough to put in there in front of Nate Solder, and we got Andrew Thomas. So we have our offensive line is very, very thin. And if you take Nick Gates kind of out of the equation, I don't even think we don't even have a center. So you got Linderbaum, and I was hearing like there might be a couple other centers out there who might be decent enough maybe to start in the NFL, but other than that, as far as centers, they're kind of few and far between in the draft. So, and I don't think the Giants are taking Linderbaum at number 7. I think that's, from what I'm just hearing, that's kind of way too high for him to be picked. He did emphasize that he wants to find 7 guys that you like, so that when picks number 5 and 7, you get someone. Now he kept mentioning it. We want to find 7 guys that we like, and I'm like, just show you how stupid I am. You got 9 picks. What do you mean just 7 guys? What are you talking about? Duh. 7 guys in the first round. Picks 1 through 7. You want to find 7 guys. And if you have 7 guys that meet your criteria and you like and all that, you just take the best player available and all, and guarantee 2 of them are going to be there. So. And then he said, I sleep well at night, but he said he's open for business with his picks. He said he's willing to stay put. I always say he was talking about when he's on the clock, if somebody gives him a call and they make a decent enough, offer for him, he's willing to move back, grab some extra picks, whether it's for this year or for next year. He says whatever is best for the New York Giants. He was also mentioning, he said something like, just say he falls in love. Who knows, with somebody like, I don't know, whoever, Thibodeau, or maybe Ekwonu, maybe number 4 is there with Ekwonu, or maybe, right, pick 3, right, pick 3 rolls around, and Ekwonu might wind up going to the Jets, and they're like, man, we need this guy, this guy, we got Thomas, this guy is Ekwonu. Is a road grader with the blocking and run blocking all. We got to get this guy. So they jump in front of the Jets maybe, they give him pick 5 and they give him a second rounder from next year. Just say whatever to jump in front of the Jets to get him. He said he's open to do that. So, he's open. He's open for everything. All right, which is nice to hear. Which doesn't mean it's going to happen, but a lot of times that things happen. Excuse me. A lot of trades happen when there's good quarterbacks here, and this is not a good quarterback group. So don't be surprised if there's not a lot of trades going on. Especially early on. Because if you got somebody trying to jump from number 12 to number 6 or something like that, I don't know if somebody's going to be jumping that far, maybe for a quarterback, but who knows? Anything's possible. But you also mentioned about, moving up, moving back. This draft will be deep, okay, because due to, in 2020, it was a lot of guys who didn't want to participate due to the virus. I can't blame them at all. My mother passed away from the virus, so if you didn't want to play for the virus, I ain't got no problem with that. But that gave him an extra year of eligibility. So you got some guys who didn't play, and who would have came out maybe last year, but who didn't because they took off from the virus. So now they're coming out this year. So you got a nice deep class. So throughout, I'm not going to say maybe round 7 you're finding, offensive tackles and stuff, but it's a nice deep class. The thing is, it's deep, but not so much top heavy. Now, what I'm hearing from a lot of guys, listen to podcasts and YouTube, guys that have been around, know what they're talking about and all that, and know a heck of a lot more than I do. It's a good, nice, deep class. It's not so much, where you have your maybe 12 guys or 13 who are just going to be absolute home runs. Because a lot of it is also, with this, because usually when that winds up happening, you got 10, 12 guys or so that, they're just going to be really, really good. A lot of it's because that's when you have 3 or 4 good quarterbacks going in the top 10, 12, or whatever. That's not the way it is this year. So you got some guys, and then then it starts kind of thinning out a little bit, but it's just good quality throughout. You're not talking, the first 10 or 15 picks are Hall of Famers. Not happening. You got the first 5, 6, 7, whatever, and then it just kind of, it's nice, but it's quality throughout the whole draft. So Giants don't get an offensive lineman in the first round. Second round, third round, the way Shane would help build the Buffalo Bills offensive line, in Buffalo, that's the way they can do it this year. So it's not the end of all. Now, you have the quality, you got maybe a lot of what I'm seeing is Stingley, the cornerback, okay? Then after that, it's kind of subjective. I've seen in mock drafts, I've seen Stingley, and then somebody else, and then maybe somebody else is this here, and then maybe another mock draft. Well, this guy here is the second best one, and this guy is the 4th best one. So it's same thing with the linebackers. I seen Lloyd, right? He's I've seen him in the top 10, almost penciled in. Nakobe Dean from Georgia. I've seen him in the top 10. I've seen him in the the teens. I've even seen him in the 20s. It's subjective where you wind up having. It's not you have 2 or 3 linebackers. They're going in the top 10. No, yeah. There's no guarantee. It's all subjective. You do have Ajabo, you got Hutchinson, you got Karlaftis, and you got Thibodeau. All right, but you got pretty much Hutchinson and Thibodeau are pretty much the top 2. Where Ajabo and Karlaftis go, I've seen Karlaftis go in the teens. I've seen Ajabo go in the pick 7 to the Giants. I've seen him go in the teens as well too. That's kind of subjective too. But you got to figure Hutchinson and Thibodeau going to probably pop 5, 6, 7 guaranteed. Both of those guys. Okay. Now you got safeties. You got Hamilton. All right. Fantastic player and all, but where he's going to go, because does anybody see him specifically just as a safety, or are they going to use him as a hybrid? They're going to use him, exactly where is he going to go? But chances are, I'm saying he's going to go in the top 10. But is there any other safeties? No. That are way up there? No. you got the two tackles. You got Neal and Ekwonu. All right, those guys pretty much just lock them up, top 5. You know, Neal and Ekwonu, I don't think are getting past 5. I mean, unless somebody bombs out totally at the combine. But I mean, if they have nice, real good combines, decent combines. I mean, you can almost. I think if they get to number 5, Neal or Ekwonu get to number 5, I think the Giants are going to draft them. So you can pretty much lock them up. All right. Then this year, but there's no Trevor Lawrence this year. All right. So where's the first quarterback going to go? Who is the first quarterback going to? That's all subjective. You have no idea. You know, is there going to be a quarterback taken in the top 10? Who knows? You knew that last year. You knew the question was how many picks out of the top 3 or 4 or 5 were going to be quarterbacks last year. This year, is there going to be one even in the top 10? That's very, very subjective. There's no Jamar Chase this year, right? You knew Jamar Chase. I mean, oh my God, how many wide receivers did we have last year? Oh my God, it was amazing how many good quality wide receivers there were last year. But I'm saying, but there's no Jamar Chase. I mean, it's very subjective. You know, so is first one going to go in the top 10, top 15, top 20? Who knows? I mean, it's all subjective to the specific teams. Where does Cross go? Where does Linderbaum go? Kenyon Green, where does he go? These are 3 very good offensive linemen. But once again, I mean, after you got Ekwonu and Neal, where do those guys fall? I mean, they fall out. Are they go into the teens and into the 20s? That's all subjective. The running backs. You know, if there's no Saquon Barkley out there, well, this guy's going in the top 5 or what? You know, where's the first one going to go? Who is the first one going to be? Is there a rock solid cinch of a running back that's going to get taken first? I don't really see that, no. You don't know who it's going to be. And you know what round. I mean, it could be the second round. You don't know. Defensive lineman, I've seen Jordan Davis from Georgia. Very, very good. But the last mock draft I just looked at, he was number 22. I've also seen him farther down, too, you know, in the teens as well. But, I mean, you know, there's no Hall of Fame looking kind of defensive tackle in there, you know. You know, where's the first one to go? Very, very subjective. The first tight end, where are they going to go? In the second round? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of, you know, there's some good 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, or so nice guys that have really got a good shot at being taken in the top 10. And then after that, it's just kind of subjective. So, I mean, whatever the Giants wind up doing, I think Joe Schoen's going to do a phenomenal job at it. I said, if we don't wind up getting an offensive lineman in the first round, I think there's going to be plenty of offensive linemen to be taken in the second round, the third round, and the fourth round. But they got to take an offensive lineman or 2 because, as I said, we got Parrott healthy. We got Parrott, we got Thomas, we got Bredesen, we got Martin, and we got Hamilton. And now one of them is a center. Well, those guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out the video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!